This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
Yeah, no, it means a lot. You know, it's been a big advantage for us all year. I'm sure it will be again, just as far as, it'll be an electric environment, one where the going to show up, with great passion and energy and make it difficult for the opponent to, communicate all those types of things, the advantages that you get. But our fan base is incredibly hungry. They've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So, that opportunity is sitting right in front of us.
Hello and welcome
exciting.
back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. Oklahoma fans, you are headed to the college football playoff for the first time since what, 2019?
2019.
I guess a little bit of the first time. Obviously, Oklahoma will host Alabama coming up on December 19th, 7 o'clock kickoff, prime time, the only game on that Friday night in the opening round or the first round of the college football playoff. Obviously, they'll have 3 games on Saturday on the 20th, but they did it. They're in the playoffs, George. How are we?
Crazy. I don't think there was ever really a doubt. I'm sure there was maybe some leading up to, last week and everything. And we kind of talked about it, like, could they leave them out? But after they were number 8 in the Tuesday rankings, it's like, okay, they're in. Now it's just about who are they going to play. I think we're all a little bit surprised by who they are playing. I don't know if we want to dive into the controversy of Miami and Notre Dame getting left out, and obviously Alabama getting in, Miami getting in, and Oklahoma. Alabama not even moving in the rankings. I thought for sure they would drop with the way that they played against Georgia, but it's going to be a rematch in Norman. Awesome. Oklahoma got the Friday night game. I know that you and I were especially pumped for that. I think it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. I think it's probably the best game of the first round. That and obviously Texas A&M and Miami. So awesome. You heard Brent say it. What a reward for the fans to get to show up and participate in such a huge game like this. But it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Pretty incredible. So we wake up on Sunday morning. Obviously the point of contention amongst everybody that was paying attention to the college football playoff show on Sunday morning was what were they going to do with Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Obviously, Notre Dame and Miami didn't play over the weekend. A lot of, not necessarily controversy, but discussion, discourse on Saturday. Alabama loses the SEC championship 28-7. You had Indiana upsetting Ohio State on Saturday night in Indianapolis. And then Texas Tech blowing out BYU, which created the discussion that was. It was fun to be able to sit back on Saturday and just kind of take it all in, knowing that Oklahoma, after everything went down by Saturday night, it was like, I don't think that this could have gone better for Oklahoma just in terms of hosting a playoff game, maybe getting a favorable matchup. I don't know. We'll see. Plenty to get into with Alabama and the rematch that is after Oklahoma goes down to Tuscaloosa and wins 23-21. Just kind of crazy how it all worked out. And then ultimately, on Sunday morning, you find out that the fine people, and we can both say this as part of the Catholic community, tough day for Notre Dame fans. Notre Dame is not in the college football playoff. Yeah. They've actually opted out of the bowl game, which I guess it makes sense. It's hard for that team to get back up after kind of having the rug pulled from them on Sunday morning.
Well, and you're seeing across the country, there's several teams, Iowa State, Kansas State, like the bowl games are dead. I don't think that they're going to just go away with them, but it's definitely a different aspect. But, look, I think Notre Dame being left out, I think it's largely because they're not in a conference. And if you want anybody to point the finger at, I think the ACC is an issue. I think that's ultimately what this came down to, is that the committee felt like they needed to put an ACC team in to the playoff. They put Miami in after the catastrophe of Virginia Duke last night. I mean, just an all-time meltdown from Virginia in that game. And, so I don't know. But for Oklahoma's sake, I think that, like you said, it couldn't have gone any better. You get Alabama, a team that, obviously is going to want to win this game, right? Like, obviously is going to want some revenge. They're going to want to play better than they did. They will play better, I would anticipate, than they did in Atlanta yesterday and how they played in Tuscaloosa. But it's a matchup that you can win, right? You got them at home. And then if you are, I don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you avoid Ohio State, you avoid Georgia on your side of the bracket.
Right.
Your path going forward, I think, is about as good as you could have asked for. Not to say it's easy, because it's certainly not. I think Indiana is better than maybe any of us anticipated. But I think that you would, if you were to tell an OU fan before the season this would be the path, I think everybody would have signed up for that.
There's a lot of people, including ourselves, that thought that it was going to be Ohio State waiting at the Rose Bowl. So let's get into it. Indiana, the top seed, they will be awaiting the winner of OU Alabama in the Rose Bowl on January 1st, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I think. I think these are Central Time. Number 2 seed, Ohio State, headed down to the Cotton Bowl. They will be awaiting the winner of Miami, Texas A&M. Obviously, Texas A&M with a pretty decent draw. If you can get through Miami, go back up to Dallas to play at the Cotton Bowl. The 3 seed, Georgia, the winners of the SEC, they will be awaiting in the Sugar Bowl for the winner of the Ole Miss Tulane game. Another rematch in the first round of the college football playoff. And then Texas Tech, the Big 12 champion, super impressive on Saturday against BYU down in Arlington. They will be awaiting on South Beach at the Orange Bowl, taking on James Madison, who heads up to Eugene to play Oregon. James Madison getting in by way of Duke on Saturday night. Virginia, think about closing down shop. Just close it down for the rest of the history of time. Don't need to see Virginia football anymore. All right. Before we get into it, Brent Venables did speak with the media on Sunday afternoon. That's what this program is going to be about as we kind of delve into a number of the storylines going into the next couple of weeks for Oklahoma leading into Friday night, December 19th. Before we do that, let us tell you about our good friends over at Homefield, homefieldapparel.com. Homefieldapparel.com, the premium collegiate apparel brand based out of Indianapolis. Comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. As you see there, they have an Oklahoma playoff shirt already on the site. All you got to do is go to homefieldapparel.com. Also got a sweet bomber jacket that you can see there up in the right-hand screen. Carrie's got the cursor moving around over it. You're going to need one of those for December 19th, because if you step outside right now in Norman, Oklahoma, winter has officially come, Giorgio.
Yeah, that's a badass jacket, the bomber jacket there, and then obviously the throwback there too. I also would say too the heavyweight t-shirts and the playoff t-shirts there. Talk about a perfect Christmas gift. If you're still looking for that, you can order that now, get it in before Christmas. I mean, that's an awesome looking shirt.
And maybe even give it to your significant other, loved one, whomever you're buying for before Christmas comes, a little early present.
Wear it to the game.
All you got to do is go to homefieldapparel.com and visit them. Get all of your Oklahoma athletic needs today. Homefieldapparel.com. Thank you to them. All right, let's get into it because Brent Venables did speak with the media on Sunday, obviously in good spirits as his team stands at 10-2, and now they have a rematch with Alabama.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, I think, for Brent and obviously the program, and we've talked about all that with him and kind of how this was built and the turnaround. You know, one thing I did want to say, Eddie, is there's so much talk, and rightfully so. I don't want to take away from what Indiana has done. I mean, it like unbelievable story. Texas Tech, like two programs that, you know, I think legitimately could maybe win the national title. What that means for college football, the parity, that's great. The controversy of Miami and Notre Dame and Alabama and who gets in, that's a great discussion and all that. One thing that I think has been lost, at least it's not become a huge storyline, is the turnaround that Oklahoma has had this year. I mean, this was a team that I don't think a lot of people thought could do what they've done this year. Sure. We'll get into some of that and the motivation there, but it is fascinating that storyline, not that people aren't talking about it, but it just feels like there's so much other stuff that it's like, man, think about what Oklahoma's been able to do this year from where they were a year ago. I mean, a year ago, we found out they were playing Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. I mean, that was rock bottom. I mean, that was not good. And now all of a sudden you're talking about preparing for a home playoff game against Alabama, one of the best programs in all of college football. I mean, it's awesome, and I think you can tell by Brent they're very much looking forward to this matchup and kind of proving themselves again on a big stage.
There is something too about being able to host that game. I know it's just one line, or there's no list, I guess, or line that separates Oklahoma and Alabama being 8 and 9, but it does separate you from hosting and not hosting games in Eugene, Norman, obviously Oxford, and College Station. I don't know, somewhat of the 4 premier places in the country. And then when you throw in the mix that Alabama's headed to town, I think that we remembered what it was like 2 years ago, obviously, when Alabama came to town for the first go-around. Oklahoma looking to make it 6 of the last 7 against Alabama, which
crazy.
I don't know how you look at it. That's kind of unbelievable, all things considered. Brent Venables did talk about the rematch. It's nothing new to Oklahoma. They've done it before. 2020, you had Iowa State. 2019, you had Baylor. 18, you had Texas in the Big 12 championship. Obviously, these are regular season and the rematches in the Big 12 championship. TCU in 2017, Missouri all the way back in 2007, Colorado in 2002, and Kansas State in 2000.
That's great
all
history.
Games that Oklahoma obviously won the rematch, won the Big 12, things like that. Here is Brent Venables talking about a rematch with the Tide.
Yeah, I mean, the challenges of playing somebody you didn't play was getting to know who they are, and you really don't have a great idea how you match up in certain areas. This is one that there's familiarity with both teams. Third time that we're playing in, just a little over a year. And obviously we have tendencies, they have tendencies, they have certain matchups they like. We have certain matchups that we like. But at the end of the day, you can throw that all out. It's time to, start completely over. And, all that matters, good or bad, from the past, all that matters is what you do, here and moving forward. I'd take a win and he can have a great game again. I'll take that formula right there. If that's, I'll be honest. I think to your point, he can have a great game and we can still win. And, those were your words, not mine, but I will focus on us, Josh. Just what do we got to do to play better in the areas? Where did we, fall short? Let's coach better, play better, all of those things. And that's what it is. And whatever happened last time doesn't have to have anything to do with this time. Again, all that matters is what we do, when we play here in Norman, a week from Friday night.
I don't want to say mismatch, but obviously the output from what Alabama did the first time around against Oklahoma will certainly be a storyline here over the next couple of weeks, getting outgained by almost 200 yards. I think it was 212 yards, something like that. 23 first downs for Alabama to Oklahoma's 12. We'll get to the offense here in a second, but one of the big storylines going in at the, outset of the beginning of these next 2 weeks, what's Oklahoma going to look like from a health perspective? Gentry Williams has undergone season-ending shoulder surgery, which, not the best thing in the entire world. Yeah. There is a little bit of hope, though, and I think probably confident hope in R. Mason Thomas as well as Jake Michaela, to name a couple. He wasn't asked about it, but I just throw Xavier Robinson as well as Torrey Blaylock into the mix. I think they should be healthy. I mean, we're talking about a month since Oklahoma played.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely for Xavier Robinson, Torrey Blaylock, I think the expectation is for those guys to play. R. Mason Thomas and Jake Michaela, I think it's a 50-50 call right now.
Sure.
I think that it's one of those things that we're not going to know until closer to kickoff.
And don't expect Brent to come out and say, hey, by the way, guys, R. Mason's completely fine.
I will say that college football playoff this year, they have to do availability reports.
Sure.
So there will be an availability report leading up to the game. So we'll have some sort of idea. I think also we'll just kind of know, is he practicing even? Is he out there? When he injured that quad, that is usually about a 6-week recovery. We just finished week 5. So he's right in that window of possibly being able to come back. So I don't know. Everybody heals differently. Quads are one of those things. It's a lot like hamstrings, those soft tissue, injuries. Sometimes they can take you a little longer to get back. So we'll see. I think that he obviously wants to play. He's been working to try and get back for this moment. I think when he got injured, they were kind of like, hey, shut it down and let's get you ready for a playoff game. So that's been the goal. We'll see if he can make it. For Michaela, I don't really know. It's like he's dealing with an infection. He was sick. He was in the hospital. Like, that's one of those things where you would think after a couple weeks he'd be back and fine, but you never know. I mean, you remember back to I think it was Austin Stogner that had the infection, and he was out.
Infection.
He was out for a while. So
almost lost his leg, right?
Yeah. So I don't know how serious it is. I don't know if it's that serious. Who knows? But certainly you would love to have both those guys back for this game.
Nonetheless, Brent Venables was asked about it on the Zoom call on Sunday with reporters. Here is an injury update of sorts from Brent Venables.
Yeah, don't know about 2 of those 3. Gentry had shoulder surgery, so he'll be out, and we'll see on the other guys.
What would it mean for you guys as a team to get players like R. Mason and Jake back for this game?
I mean, they're 2 good players. They're starters. excellent players. Jake touches the ball every snap. So, that there's a lot of impact and influence in the things that, that guy does. And R. Mason's one of the more explosive defensive players in the country. So if they can play, they can play. If they can't, they can't. That's football. It's late in the year. They got guys that are down. That's just part of the game.
There might be a preference to get them on the field.
Yeah, and I will say, to Brent's point, Alabama has quite a few guys out.
Interesting.
You saw yesterday in the SEC championship game, they were without Jam Miller, I believe.
The Cuevas kid, the tight end that had an unbelievable day against Oklahoma in the first
I think
half.
Overton is hurt for them, LT Overton, as well as Justin Jefferson, their starting middle linebacker. I think their best defensive player got hurt late in that game. I don't know what his status is. So both sides are going to have guys out. It's up to, in Oklahoma defensively, it doesn't feel like they've had any drop-off. Now, boy, would you love to have somebody like R. Mason Thomas who can be a game wrecker in a game like this, and certainly your starting center in Jake Michaela. But it is one of those things, like Brent said, at this time of year, everybody's dealing with some injuries.
Not just next Friday, or I guess a week from this Friday, will it be important. But if Oklahoma wants to make any type of run now that you're in the tournament, you're going to need the offense to play better. I think that's a rather known. Outside of health injuries, finding John Mateer some comfort just in terms of some of the easier throws that we had talked about going into those final couple games against Missouri and LSU, finding something in the vertical passing game. Who knows what the weather's going to be come December 19th here in Norman, but certainly Oklahoma flat out, you just got to play better offensively to give yourself a better opportunity.
Yeah, and I think if you go and watch the SEC championship game, Georgia kind of showed you the formula, which was also the same formula Oklahoma had when they beat Alabama, which is force a couple turnovers, give yourself some short fields, play great defense, and then take advantage when you get those short fields. I think Georgia had 3 or 4 short fields, and they cashed in on all of them. They were able to score touchdowns, and so that's the key. I mean, you can't expect John Mateer to go out there and throw for 300 yards against this Alabama defense. That's just not going to happen, or to be able to run for 200 yards on this Alabama defense. But if you can take advantage, hold on to the football, and have a couple explosive plays, then I think that could be enough to win this game. So, yeah, they got to get better. I think that, with Mateer and the time off that he's had, how is his hand? Again, who knows on the hand thing? I'm kind of over that whole discussion, but maybe it's feeling better. Also, the chemistry with some of the wide receivers. What can Arbuckle scheme up? And then I think the biggest thing, like we said earlier, if you can get the running backs healthy, that would certainly take some pressure off of John Mateer from having to do everything.
The 17 points that Oklahoma turned those turnovers into down in Tuscaloosa,
huge.
Certainly the difference in the ball game. Brent Venables, what can be done with an offense here moving forward over the next couple of weeks leading into the first round?
Yeah, I mean, again, we had several parts of the game that were actually really, really good, and then some other parts where we missed opportunity, and the other team is really good, and then some others, again, you get a batted ball, goes for a turnover, and so you're looking at all the ways that you can to get better, and again, I look at. I think what's appropriate is you compare it to other, quality teams, and what were they able to do from again, because I guess everybody is on the statistical things instead of whether or not we, won the game or not. So when you go back and look at all the statistical measures, how did, other teams do against, the same team? What did they do? People that, maybe have, on paper, more explosive, better operating offenses. So great self-analysis and evaluation, inside out, and ways that we can, get guys open and create leverage in the run and the pass game and manipulate people. That's part of, offense, defense, and special teams. That's a game of football. And, how we can get better in all those areas, as well as make the plays, that are there, and not. So there's some ways you don't want to make it more than it needs to be. But again, those are, you can't just keep missing. I equate it on defense. If you have a good pressure dialed up and you got an overload blitz based on the protection you knew they were going to give you, and you got one extra guy, and then he gets back there and he's ready to sack the quarterback, and then he feints and just falls to the ground and doesn't make the play, the sack. The quarterback is able to break free and, throws an 80-yard touchdown, man. you don't have those opportunities. They're just not endless, game in and game out. When you miss your opportunities, it bleeds over into every other part of your team, and it makes it winning a little bit more difficult. So there's a blend of all of that. That's a long-winded, explanation, but I think it's all appropriate, and I think the right lens is appropriate. And sometimes we look at it and through our lens and what we didn't do. And it's easy to go to an ultra positive place. It's easy to go to an ultra negative place. And I think finding the landing ground that's closer to reality is important. And we have high expectations and standards, and you'd love to get back into maybe the rhythm that we had earlier in the year, offensively and things of that nature too. So I think it's all fair.
Plenty more to get into from Brent Venables, a little bit more on a rematch with Alabama, as well as just a November to remember, right?
Yeah.
No cliche there from, what is that, Zales? Remember November? No, that's November. December? Lexus. That's right. December to remember. Go by Eskridge. We love them. Let us tell you about our good friends over at Lucy, the 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. Also have the Lucy Breakers, which are nicotine patches with an extra surprise, each pouch holding a capsule that can be broken open and release extra flavor and hydration. What you're going to want to do, set up yourself with a subscription to Lucy by going to lucy.co/SooterScoop. Use the promo code SooterScoop. You can pick out all your different types of flavors, whether it be the mint, mango, berry citrus, apple cider, apple ice, espresso, wintergreen. A crowd favorite around here at the SooterScoop.com offices, as well as your strength. Are you going to use a 4? Are you going to go 8? You're going to go 12 milligram? You have plenty to choose from. Lucy.co/SooterScoop. Lucy.co/SooterScoop. Use the promo code SooterScoop. Get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you to our good friends over at Lucy. Make somebody happy. A little stocking stuffer, if you will. All right, a little bit more from Brent Venables. This will be the 5th time that he has personally rematched with somebody. Obviously, 2000 with K-State when he was the defense coordinator at Oklahoma, 2002 with Colorado, 2007 against Missouri, playing Missouri and Chase Daniel, and then obviously turning around and playing them in the Big 12 championship, and then in 2020 with Clemson, Notre Dame. Ironically enough, the team that they rematched in the regular season, then played again in the playoffs. It was kind of interesting, though. There are some, chess pieces that will be moved in terms of what Oklahoma wants to do from a schematic standpoint, defensively, offensively. Seeing Alabama again, I would think stopping the tight end will be one of those things.
Yeah, I mean that was an adjustment they had to make there in that second half, and Alabama kind of tore them up, but. It's such an interesting dynamic, and you'll hear Brent talk about it, but at the end of the day, like, you can do some different things schematically. You can maybe put in a couple new plays or a couple, new formations, but at this point you kind of know each other. And, it's not just they played, a month ago now. They also played last year,
three times in a calendar, I guess not calendar year, but
nearly
3 times in a year, basically.
Yeah. And so I think that these guys know each other. Like, when it comes down to a fourth quarter and it's close, like, you're kind of gonna have a feeling of what's coming, and it's going to be more about, can you execute at a high level? So as much as it is about the matchups and, stopping Alabama at certain things, getting after Ty Simpson and them getting after John Mateer and, stopping certain players, at the end of the day, I think it's so much more about just, the individual teams being, either more physical, out executing, outsmarting the other team, than like them, both coming up with new schemes and new plays, in this game. Like that's the way I view it. Is it's more about you already know each other so well. It's how well can you execute at a high level.
Here is Brent Venables, a little bit more on a rematch with Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that's what the record is. I really haven't kept track myself. I think it's more coincidence than not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you're playing a team for the second time you're playing them in the championship, you're both worthy to be there. For whatever reason, we've been on the right side of it. And again, this is, Alabama, the quality of their roster, the quality of their staff. I think, you look at that program, 3 national championships in just the last several years, all the history and tradition. I don't know what that stat was, but maybe they had won, 10, SEC championships the last X number of times they've been in the SEC championship game. So we're going to get their best shot. That's what we're expecting. And it's a team that, again, they look back at our game and, I know that they feel strongly that had they taken care of the ball, they would have won the game. Who knows, where that would have landed. Are there areas that we need to play better from when we played them last time? Absolutely. But at the same time, our guys, went on the road and did the unthinkable by playing complementary football, being physical, getting the ball back, playing outstanding special teams, and then, offensively playing complementary football, the things that you need to do, taking care of the ball, all the things that have helped us get to this point, the basics of football 101, being physical, taking care of the ball, creating your plays when they're there. That's what wins for you. And that's what'll win again, in the opening round of the playoffs. I'm thankful just for the magnitude of this season. And again, the magnitude of, as I said earlier, every game has this, enormous magnitude. And I think whether that's Michigan or it's the SEC, when we started with Auburn, certainly playing in the Cotton Bowl, you go to that game, it's a 1-score game, into the fourth quarter. And, you learn, you hate bringing up those, the failures up, but man, you learn a lot through, the magnitude of the different moments within those games. And there's been some tremendous moments that have had, enormous magnitude all year long. And you want to emphasize and affirm, the moments where you handled it the right way. And you also want to recognize when we were maybe on the wrong end of it and we were still able to overcome it, to justify and just validate that you don't have to play perfect to win. And but you have to respond. And then, the magnitude of the pressure of the moment, which again, if going on the road in front of over 215,000 people. And, those are big moments with tremendous magnitude, with great challenges, or again, several of the other games from the year. And that's what the SEC, can do for you from a preparation standpoint. It's a big moment and all that, but we've had all these, the biggest moment of the year moments all season long. So I do think that this is a team that has been challenged. It's a team that has been through the fire, and it's a team that is battle tested in lots of moments of magnitude. We needed a big stop. We needed turnover. We needed to flip the field. We needed a big return. We need to make the play. We need to have firm protection. And you can go on and on and on. And so I'm proud of the team, how it's developed, its identity, the belief and the confidence that this team has, the rhythm that this team has, the connection that this team has by going it through together, and we've never once all year has this team become divided in any way.
Probably only came together closer here over the month of November, George, that affectionately I think will be referred to or termed as Red November for Oklahoma fans, starting in Knoxville with a 33-27 win. Obviously, Tuscaloosa came after the bye week on November 15th with a 23-21 win, and then the two final home games, a 17-6 win over Missouri and a 17-13 win over LSU that got tight, really tight for a lot of people there in the fourth quarter. But we, as much as we talked about Oklahoma trying to find an identity from an offensive side, I think Brent Venables said it right there. There is an identity within this team, and the hard to kill mantra that they've kind of stuck on to here over the last month, it's been, kind of magical in a way, just because I don't think that there was a lot of us that thought they were going to do this after coming out of that loss at home to Ole Miss on October 25th.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable kind of turnaround since that, and they've found unique ways to win. They've bought into this idea of kind of what Brent was talking about, of just coming up big in the right moments. And, it's not always pretty. In fact, it's pretty ugly at times for Oklahoma, and it has been this past month. But it's been gritty. It's been grimy, as Brent would say. But I think that should benefit Oklahoma. They've kind of approached this past month as a playoff, for them to get into the playoff. So I think when it comes down to it, playing in a game now like this where it is do or die, you have to win to keep your season alive. Oklahoma's been living that life for a month.
Very
right?
much so.
And so I think that's a huge benefit for them going into this thing. And I think that, again, this group has bought in. They've believed in the message from Brent Venables going back to, when he showed them the chances of getting into the playoff after the Ole Miss game and kind of, gave them that shot in the arm, as he said, before they went on this run. I think that you're seeing that in their play on the field. And I think that they truly believe inside that locker room that they can make a real run at this thing.
And certainly you talk about the games of magnitude. There will be none bigger for this group of guys than coming up next Friday, or I guess December 19th, when Alabama comes to town. But they have lived it over the last couple of weeks. And certainly you think back to those, the drive against in Knoxville that Oklahoma's about to fall down 14-0. And then all of a sudden it's an R. Mason scoop and score. Eli Bowen with the pick six in Tuscaloosa. It seems like each one of these games has had one of those moments. And I guess, surprisingly to a lot of people, they've come up with those plays when they've needed them the most.
The Satania touchdown against Missouri, and then the one against LSU, like you said, they've come up exactly when they needed to, and especially the defense. I mean, the defense has carried this team really to this point, and Tate Sandell, who's just been phenomenal for them, obviously. But it's been a magical run in a lot of ways, like you said, and now I think that they're like, okay, can we do it again?
No doubt about it. Here is Brent Venables talking about the month of November, playing in moments that have seemingly been just about like a playoff game here over the last month of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think every championship team I've been a part of have had their backs at different times, some more, some less, their backs against the wall where it wasn't looking good and you had to figure it out and find a way. And those are the special traits and the intrinsic values that those teams have, the belief system, the preparation, the battle tested, and the calluses that you acquire along the way. Every single one of them have their own testimony. You talked about the 2000 team and, going into, that national championship game, the biggest underdog in college football national championship history. And with, again, a team that had, the roster and the Heisman Trophy winner and all those things. And again, we had a team with a bunch of misfits that believed it was going to be good enough and that had the ability to punch back and, lay it on the line till the end. And, but that's a team, again, had an amazing synergy and chemistry, and they refused to get distracted. And as the year went on, that's a team that was challenged in lots of different ways. So, I think those are, this year's team, that team, those teams that have these special qualities, and being challenged in the season. That's what makes the team, and that journey and the testimony of the team. And so I do again, and it wasn't just, the last month. It's certainly a tremendous, again, magnitude and must win. I think that started with Michigan. And so our team has, taking on that personality of back against the wall and, a deck that maybe be stacked against us. And, not a lot of, people, believed early. And again, that's our fuel and our energy and our excitement comes from a passion and love to play and compete and appreciation for the opportunity that we have. And again, just what this team, what they've gone through together collectively, the body of work, all of those things, and certainly the challenges of the season have gotten us to this point. So a team that's, again, excited, team that is has never lost a respect for winning and what it takes, our processes, our intensity, our passion, our physicality, our love and respect and trust, for one another. All of those things are things that, winning requires. And our guys have really embraced that throughout the course of the season.
It won't be popular, but I just want to prepare Oklahoma fans over the next, 12, 13 days. Oklahoma's not going to be given much of a chance. In fact, the conversation around Oklahoma will be, why the hell are they in it with this offense?
Have you seen the odds to win the national title?
Plus 6,600, is that what it comes out?
They are just ahead of Tulane and James
The
Madison.
two G5 schools. Oklahoma, they'll be kind of the kicking, the team to kick or to be kicked.
The punching bag.
The punching bag.
That's what you're
Thank
looking
you.
for.
That's what I was looking for. And I think that
They're underdogs at home. 1.5 points, I think, or 2.5.
In a way, I think that there's a part of Brent Venables and this coaching staff that likes having a little bit of a chip on their shoulder going into the playoff game.
I think it's kind of what's fueled them this past month. I really do. I think that there was a lot of people that doubted them. Us, we included. You can put that in the highlight video to motivate the team. But, there's a lot of people that don't think Oklahoma can do a whole lot and in this playoff. And I think a lot of people look at OU and the way they've won, and I think some people are like, well, it's kind of lucky. At some point, it's not luck, right? Like Oklahoma's just a good football team finding ways to win at the right moment. So I think Oklahoma is using that to their advantage. You'll hear Brent. You could hear him in his press conference today just kind of, have that grin saying like, oh yeah, like nobody thought we could do this. We're just thankful to be here. But I do think Oklahoma will use that to their advantage. And, and you'll hear Brent say too, like they don't need any extra motivation. They're in the playoff, have a chance to play for a national title. But I do think that certainly will help OU in terms of preparation and having the right mindset, and also, knowing that they can prove a lot of people wrong.
Here is Brent Venables talking about the chip on a shoulder going into the playoffs.
Very proud of all of their hard work. I know for some people, debate's been there. Maybe we don't, belong in the playoffs, but we're here. A lot of teams are hoping they got matched up with Oklahoma potentially in the playoffs, and we got our focus and our energy, our detail is to be able to play for a championship. And no matter how crazy that might seem to everybody else, our team believes that we have everything we need, to be able to do so. So it's going to be incredibly challenging, but something that, we're looking forward to. Well, every game we've played all year is the biggest game in my career. And surely we can't beat the next team. And so, yeah, it's been there. And it's been there all year. I'm not throwing it back at anybody, but that has been the narrative, and hadn't been a lot of people that believe that we were able to do what we've done, and whether that's justifiable or not, who knows? It doesn't really matter. And again, the same thing. We'll go into this, with very slim odds, whatever that means, and we're just thankful to have the opportunity that's sitting in front of us. I know our guys are looking forward to the challenge. Again, going against one of the best teams in college football in the history of the game. And again, two iconic programs matching up here in Norman, Oklahoma. What a treat that's going to be for all people that love Sooner Nation, Alabama, and just love, college football, overall. But at the same time, not a lot of people think that, will last very long in the playoffs. And I think is that fair to say that that's been the chatter, that we don't have a good enough overall team to be able to make much noise? That's a question. I'm asking a question.
That was answered by a media member. Quite fun. Yeah. It is what it is.
It is the narrative, though.
It is going to be the narrative.
Not a lot of people think Oklahoma's going to do much. And like I said at the kind of the top of the show, everybody's talking about Indiana. Everybody's talking about Texas Tech. Great stories. And Alabama getting in. What does that mean? Georgia and Ohio State, they're loaded. They got great teams. Georgia was fantastic in the SEC championship game. Nobody's really talking about Oklahoma. I think there's a lot of people that think Oklahoma is going to be one and done in the playoff. And they very well could be. I think Alabama's a very good football team that could beat Oklahoma. But I do think Oklahoma kind of likes that. I think they like playing the underdog role. I think they like that nobody believes in them. And I think that they like that they have a chance to again, prove a lot of people wrong.
There will be somebody talking about Oklahoma over the next 12 days. It'll be
us.
being you right here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. So Oklahoma in to the college football playoffs, taking on Alabama 8-9 coming up on December 19th, 7 o'clock kickoff in Norman, which
It's going to be awesome.
all the eyes of the college football world will be on Gaylord Family Oakland Memorial Stadium. We'll be here throughout the next couple of weeks leading into the December 19th opening round game or first round game against Alabama, and plenty of coverage to come with not just Oklahoma and Alabama, but obviously everything that goes into this next couple of weeks for this Oklahoma football team. Don't have a schedule as of yet on availability, all that kind of stuff. We will obviously let you know when we get that. So for George, I'm Eddie. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.